We've been critical of Inter on this podcast throughout the season because of the expectations that they have, because of Conte, that he's gotten a lot of the players that he wanted. Some of them we have realized aren't the best signings. Some of them have worked out brilliantly, like Romelu Lukaku. But I think we have to praise Conte, even though the result did not go Inter's way against Real Madrid. I saw a little glimmer of positive. The chances they created, the fact that they actually tried to take the game to Real Madrid. The game was end to end. I thought it was really great entertainment. It wasn't the typical Inter that we've seen in the past, where in the Italian media, a lot of pundits have lashed out saying they're just simply too defensive. They need to open themselves up. They have the players to do just that. But against Real Madrid, I think we saw a bit more versatility from Conte and had one of those finishes. You think of that Lautaro finish when he's cutting inside and the ball's just whizzing by the top corner. Inter had so many chances. And the reason why I say positive, even though they're still dead last in the group, in their own group, is that they took matters into their own hands. They lost on their terms. They made the mistake. Achraf Hakimi gets pushed. He gives the ball away, but it was still a different Inter. So I think we have to take a little bit of a positive, saying, right, are we seeing an Inter side that is actually willing to do something that isn't normally associated with Conte teams? Because I know it's easy to criticize them, but there was that aspect of them that we're seeing perhaps a change, Mina, perhaps, or Nicky?
No, I'm sorry. No,
I'm not giving them that.
If there was ever a time that, I feel sorry for Antonio Conte because he gets asked about Eriksen so often, and I think that's not really fair. I feel like it's the Pedro Leon with Jose Mourinho. I feel like he gets sometimes a lot of hassle for things that he doesn't really deserve it, and I think that he was right when he complains about leaks to do with the clubs or support from the club on a bigger level. I understand that. But on this, I'll be honest with you, after Real Madrid, I thought he should be sacked. He's 7 points off where he was last season when he was battling in Serie A. Can we just point out that Ranieri Sampdoria is 1 point behind him in Serie A, and they haven't spent half the money that he's spent on. He's got everything that he's asked for, and his route to goal is still out and in. It's so easy. It's so route one. And I'm sorry, but this isn't Real Madrid of Cristiano Ronaldo that had a generational talent and young players that could really make the difference. This is a side that has children now up front with Benzema, who's never been a natural goal scorer.
They're not just any children, though. They're very good players.
It isn't, but it is Real Madrid. So would it not have been harsh to sack a manager after losing to Real Madrid, the 13 times champions?
Everyone is winning against Real Madrid except for Barcelona, which tells you more about Barcelona than it does about Real Madrid. This isn't a Real Madrid side that had Modric had to come on. This is a Vinicius Jr. with Benzema talking about not passing to him because he doesn't even show he's playing for the side. This isn't a Real Madrid side that I can tell you, oh yes, this is the team that Juventus defended with ease to the semi-final, or Zidane dynasty that won 3 on the trot. This is a very different side that's rebuilding itself. The passes that Inter were managing, a good Real Madrid side would have intercepted half of those and really done something mad. And you say all of this, Inter, they came back into the game and all of that. Benzema had a clear chance that he should have really made it 4-2, to be honest, and missed again another one. We're having children scoring against them. Literally, Rodrigo and Vinicius Jr. have received so much criticism, and they still managed it. This is a side that doesn't know if it's old because it's still got Ramos and Benzema and Modric and Kroos, or it's very young and not yet there at the levels they're supposed to be. This is it, that he hasn't managed more than a point against Shakhtar and a point against Gladbach, and didn't manage to even draw against the worst Real Madrid in the last 10 years. No, I'm sorry. I think that this is time where you're telling me that Pirlo gets not enough criticism because he's Andrea Pirlo. What is this love to Antonio Conte?
But my point is that we're asking Conte that basically he's playing with the handbrakes on. Suddenly he changes his whole style, because what I saw from Inter isn't really the Conte Inter, that they created a lot of chances. The goals that Real Madrid scored, think of the Achraf Hakimi back pass. These are errors that Inter made that led to Real Madrid goals. But I still saw some positives that if they can do that, and they can obviously stop making a lot of those clear mistakes, which are in large part egregious mistakes that they shouldn't be making. But it was what they were trying to do, I think, is what Inter fans perhaps can take now into Serie A. As Nicky said earlier in the podcast, this is still very early on in the season. Yeah. There's still plenty of time for Inter to turn around. To sack Conte now would be absolute madness. It would be premature. At least let him get to the Christmas period. Let's see where things stand now. We're so early on in the season. What is it? Match day 6?
Yeah, look. No. Give me a second, Mina. Come on. You two can't have a two-person conversation about Inter. Yeah, I completely disagree with Mina about sacking him. You can't sack a manager you've committed to in the summer. I think that's ridiculous. I'm sorry.
No, okay, don't sack him.
I also think I think a smidgen of your feelings is about how you feel about Real Madrid rather than about how you feel about Inter, which is a separate conversation for the La Liga podcast. I don't agree with Matteo about finding much positives in this. I found Conte's substitutions in both games really sort of frustrating. I think that game against Madrid, there was a desire amongst Inter's players that you could see to win that game. I thought one of the moments that really sort of surprised me in that game is you're away to Madrid, and yes, they're a poor Madrid, but I still think realistically drawing away to Madrid is not a bad result at all. When Perisic scores that goal, he goes straight into the net to get it out and take it back to the kickoff because he wants to win the game. He doesn't want to draw the game, he wants to win it. Perisic and Barella, who are two of your better players in that game, taking them off in the second half, I thought that was just a massive own goal. I understand a little bit with Barella because he's playing every game and he's so essential at the moment. But, you know, I think that the sort of the passivity of that move and bringing in Gagliardini, I hated it at a time when your players wanted to try and go and win that game. And I don't feel like Conte's making any positive decisions when I sort of step back and look at it. I think that losing Lukaku was obviously a huge setback. Lukaku's been brilliant, but it's an opportunity to try something different. And he hasn't tried something different. He stuck with the same 3-5-2 and just said, all right, Perisic, you play up front, not a striker. With Lautaro, who's maybe more of a false 9 than a real 9. I don't like it. I think you should be experimenting. You should be doing something different. I'm not that worried about the points in the league table. The Champions League is really on an edge now, but I'm disappointed with the lack of, I don't know, experimentation, a willingness to try something different. Because I think also we forget that Conte has been an experimental manager in his career. He came to Juventus playing 4-2-4.
You know, this is what it is. It is exactly what you're saying now. I agree with you. I said at the time when we talked about it on ESPN FC about this is the chance for him to try to find something different now that Lukaku's not available. Try to find yourself a plan B. Try to find a different way of doing things. I think a lot of the time his substitutions are just bringing on fresh legs and not necessarily ones that tactically shift the game. Again, with Parma, it's the same mistakes this time. Why would you move, De Vrij, who's so good down the middle? I understand that it's, Ranocchia, but the same problems that they suffered with Parma last season, and they had Kulusevski last season, a very vertical point that always put Diego Godin under a lot of pressure. This time around, it was De Vrij under a lot of pressure. It's almost like they see the same things happening to them, and there isn't really a solution or a way to try to do something about it. And this is, okay, obviously I'm exaggerating when I say let's defend him because so much has been made to commit to this man. And obviously he's too expensive to sack at the moment. He's 12 million. But when you look at Stefano Pioli, for example, and his work at Mina, and how it's so easy for these players to be emotionally content, does that make sense? So not everyone's always playing on the edge. I feel like with Inter, everyone's playing on the edge. You've got Lautaro Martinez punching things on the sidelines. You've got people looking nervous at every stage. I don't understand that. And so you could say it's a young squad. You could say whatever it is, but these are alibis because Milan is the youngest squad. Juventus have a team full of children up front with Chiesa and Kulusevski, and well, Dybala is no longer a child, but you know what I mean. And I just think to a certain extent, I think Inter deserve better, frankly speaking. I think deserves better and more tactical flexibility and more options, more routes to goal. And for a man who's being paid 12 million, I'm sorry, I am going to demand a little bit more than that.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN+.